What's up, gamers? Welcome to Gamer Rant. My name's Kevin. In today's episode, we're going to be traveling back to December 13th, 2023, when a Bethesda Game Studio design director decided to have a hot take about negative criticism that Starfield was receiving, a game that he worked on. Funny how disconnected some players are from the realities of game development, and yet they speak with complete authority. I mean, I can guess what it takes to make a Hostess Twinkie, but I don't work in the factory, so what the hell do I really know? Not a lot. You don't need to work in a creative or product industry to criticize said art or product. Part of me really gets it. When you're a consumer and spend money on things, that gives you the right to complain about those things. I spend a lot of money on games every year, and sometimes it takes a lot for me not to scream into the internet's collective consciousness. You're conflating criticism with complaining. These two words are not mutually exclusive. It comes in two forms, positive and negative. In fact, all you're doing is complaining about negative criticism the game has received. You're acting as if the negative criticism is directed literally at you when it is at the game itself. Don't blame gamers because you decided to take that criticism as a personal attack. I don't complain about games on social for two main reasons. One, I know how hard it is to make games and have too much respect for my fellow devs. I work for a game studio and it would be uncool and unprofessional for me to do so. But sometimes I want to. Oh boy. Okay. Again, you're labeling negative criticism as complaining. As a writer, I know words, and you're using the word complain because you believe it helps your viewpoint and that the negative criticism the game is receiving will be seen as hate or hate speech by Starfield loyalists. Giving criticism when you work in industry has nothing to do with being cool, uncool, professional, or unprofessional. It just sounds like you don't trust yourself to create a professional negative or positive review of another developer's game because you're some low man on the totem pole for another company. Plenty of authors, smaller, review other authors' books without issue or coming off as unprofessional. Most people don't have these constraints and are free to post whatever they want. The internet is a glorious wild, wild west, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And there was a time when I exercised that right very freely. They're objectively not constraints, though. People criticize other people's art, books, paintings, games, movies, comics, sculptures, etc. without being a douchebag. Your inability to do the same is a weak argument. When I was writing game reviews for the Adrenaline Vault forever ago, I was absolutely that person who would say whatever I wanted about a game, good or bad. Sometimes the good was over enthusiastically too good, and sometimes the bad was me being a sarcastic asshat. What's your point? Seems you don't understand that someone can write a review of something without being over enthusiastic or a sarcastic asshat simply because they worked in said industry. But throughout that time, I actually had no inkling what a game development was actually like, how hard the designers, programmers, artists, producers, and everyone else worked. The struggle to bring a vision to life with constantly shifting resources, the stress. And most readers don't know the stress of writing a book. Watchers don't know the issues of acting or directing a film. A game developer may not know the stress and struggles it took to build your house, car, road, etc. Your hardships are irrelevant objectively. You're acting like you're the only one who has issues in their job, which is laughable at best. This isn't me complaining about my job. I've experienced all these things and will again. It's the nature of AAA game development. But I also have a great position and I am still gainfully employed after 21 plus years. A blessing considering the thousands of layoffs this year. It's the nature of every job, from police officer, the military men and women, the cashier, the author, the actor, the football player, etc., etc. So yes, this is objectively you complaining because you don't like the negative criticism that something you worked on is receiving. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind because of the internet, but given my position, I cannot share the truth. And that truth is nobody sets out to make a bad game, and most game devs are incredibly talented, even if the game they release isn't up to par. Okay, so many authors are talented, but that wouldn't justify them being unprofessional on Twitter because they disagree with the bad reviews that their book is receiving. See, I never knew this before, but if nothing else, video game development is a series of conscious and tough decisions. There's that perfect game you want to make, and then there's the game you can make. Sometimes, if the gods smile on you, those two are very close. But in order to get there, in order to get it as close as possible to the vision, the team has to push itself harder and harder, often while dealing with devs being shuffled around or leaving looming deadlines and creative decisions you wish you didn't have to make. And team is absolutely the operative word there. Lots and lots of folks doing lots and lots of work. Writing, level building, making characters, models, coding, game systems, trying to schedule it all so it can get done and folks don't burn out and on and on. Which in the end means absolute dick when it comes to positive or negative reviews for any product or art form. Everything you list can be whittled down to any other job. You sound like, woe is me, my job is hard, please be nicer with your negative criticism of the game I worked on. So sure, you can dislike parts of a game. You can hate on a game entirely, but don't fool yourself into thinking you know why it is the way it is, unless it's somehow documented and verified, or how it got to be that way, good or bad. Negative criticism isn't hate on a game. I find it funny that you're only using words such as dislike, hate, and complaining to describe negative criticism as if it's a null and voids any negative criticism because it's nothing more than hate speech towards the thing that you helped create. Chances are, unless you've made a game yourself, you don't know who made certain decisions, who did specific work, how many people were actually available to do that work, any time challenges faced, or how often you had to overcome technology itself. This one is huge. So yes, love games, buy them, play them, and complain to your heart's content. It's sort of the nature of the developer/player transactional relationship. But just know that the game you're playing is in some ways a freaking miracle in and of itself. Normal people have come together to work for years for one goal, to bring you fun and happiness. So it helps to remember that and them. It is objectively irrelevant to who made what decisions, how many people worked on it, whose blood, sweat, and tears went into making of a video game, movie, book, comic book, and anime, etc. No one needs to understand how it is done to make their own sound judgment of negative or positive criticism. The real issue is of your own making. You clearly have shown the world that you don't know how to take criticism of something you helped create. Furthermore, you seem to think that negative criticism on the stuff you work on is a personal attack on you, which it never was or is. When gamers say the developer is lazy, they are referring to the company, not the low people on the totem pole. And at the end of the day, that's what this all comes down to and boils down to. Is a grown adult who clearly has not learned how to take negative criticism for the things that they work on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video in some fashion or form. And remember, gamers, if you're not voicing your thoughts and concerns about the bullshit in gaming, and apparently the bullshit the low people on the totem pole will come to Twitter and say when it's completely irrelevant to them, you just might be a part of the motherfucking problem.